A man walks alone through the Swiss mountains. The air is thin, cutting. His eyes burn not with tears, but with a painful clarity. He carries on his shoulders a disease that corrodes him, a loneliness that devours him, and a mind that sees too far. Friedrich Nietzsche is about to have the revelation that will change everything. The idea that it is possible, no, necessary to love every second of this absurd, cruel, and beautiful life. Every pain, every failure, every moment of glory and despair, everything without exception. Grab your whiskey as we delve deeper into the topic. Amor Fati, do you truly love your life? And since we're diving into this philosophical abyss together, subscribe to the channel, not for me, but because, you need this kind of intellectual confrontation in your life. Nietzsche once said, "My formula for greatness in humankind is Amor Fati, wanting nothing different, whether in the past, in the futuri, or throughout eternity. Not merely enduring what is necessary, much less concealing it, but loving it." Don't take a deep breath, because this phrase isn't self-help advice. It's an existential bomb. Now tell me something, and be honest, because lying here would be pathetic. Do you truly love your life? I'm not talking about that automatic response you give when someone asks, "How are you?" and you answer fine while inside everything is falling apart. I'm talking about loving your life. In truth, with all that it entails, that is rotten, frustrating, painful, and unfair. That betrayal that destroyed you, that mistake you made and never got over, that person you lost, that regret that visits you at 3 in the morning. That version of yourself, that shames who you are today, would you love to live all of this again? Because that's exactly what Nietzsche is proposing with Amor Fati. It's not about positive thinking or accepting things as they are with that lukewarm resignation of someone who has given up fighting. No, it's about something much more radical, much more dangerous. It's about looking at the absolute chaos of your existence, all the suffering, all the humiliation, all the pain, and saying, I wouldn't change a thing. I would choose to live exactly like this, again and again and again, forever. Does it sound insane? It should, because most people spend their entire lives trying to escape themselves, running away from their own choices, blaming fate to others, the system, God, the universe, anything to avoid taking responsibility for who they are. But Nietzsche, he won't let you get away. He drags you to the mirror and whispers, look closely. This is you. Your entire history, all your disaster. Now tell me, do you have the courage to love this? And of course, like any good philosophical tragedy, the answer to this question will either transform you or destroy you. There is no middle ground here. So get ready, because we are about to descend into the abyss of Amor Fati. And when you truly understand what Nietzsche is proposing, nothing will ever be the same again. The question is not whether your life is good or bad. The question is, do you have the courage to love her anyway? Okay, now that the question has hit you hard, let's be precise. Because if there's one thing Nietzsche hated, it was people confusing his ideas with that cheap almanac philosophy. Amor Fati is not toxic positivity. It's not repeating mantras in the mirror saying, I accept everything that happens to me while you bury yourself alive in a life you hate. It's not that passive resignation of someone who has given up fighting and now calls it wisdom. And it's definitely not that nonsense of everything happens for a reason that people say when they don't have the courage to face the chaos, so what is it? Amor Fati is the radical affirmation of your existence. It's about looking at every fragment of your life, the triumphs and the disasters, the joys and the tragedies, and saying, yes, I want that. Not despite the suffering, but including it, because all of this made me who I am. Do you notice the difference? It's not about passively accepting. It's about choose actively. It's about transforming even what destroys you into raw material for your own creation. Think of it this way. Imagine your life is a sculpture, but not a beautiful and harmonious sculpture. It's a sculpture made of shards of glass, scars, broken bones, and a few moments of beauty so intense they hurt. Most people look at this sculpture and want to hide the ugly parts. They want to retouch it. They want to pretend the shards don't exist. But Amor Fati is about looking at this grotesque and brutal sculpture and saying, this is me. and it's perfect exactly as it is. I wouldn't change a single thing. Does it sound like masochism? It's not. Masochism is seeking suffering. Amor Fati transforms suffering that already exists can become something that strengthens you instead of something that destroys you. It's the difference between being a victim of your history and being thought of it is, let's use a very concrete example, because philosophy without a foundation becomes just empty poetry. Let's say you were betrayed by someone you loved. Does it hurt? Of course it hurts. Does it destroy you? Undoubtedly, most people will react in two ways. Option one, spending years dwelling on it, becoming bitter, distrustful, building emotional walls and saying, I'll never trust anyone again. Basically, letting that moment define the rest of your life like an open wound that never heals. Option two, trying to get over it with that cheap spirituality, saying everything happened so I could learn a lesson, or the universe was protecting me from something worse. That's also a lie. It's just a more elaborate way of avoiding facing the pain head-on. Now, Amor Fati is looking at that betrayal and saying, this destroyed me, and I didn't want it to happen, but it did. And now I'm going to use this, I'm going to transform this pain into self-knowledge, into depth, into strength. I'm going to let it refine me, not define me. Do you understand? It's not about denying the pain. It's not about pretending it doesn't matter. Transmute pain can be something that builds you up, not something that imprisons you. It's like what Nietzsche did with his own life. A sick, lonely, misunderstood man who could have wallowed in Instead, he took all that suffering and forged philosophy into it. He transformed poison into medicine. But note, this does not mean romanticizing suffering. Nothing says I didn't understand Nietzsche like those people who think suffering is a virtue. That the more you self-destruct, the deeper you are. That's just existential theater. Amor Fati is not about seeking pain. It doesn't run away from her when she arrives. It's about having the courage to look her in the eyes and ask, what can you teach me? How can I use you to become who I need to be? Because deep down, you know how it works. The most interesting people you meet aren't those who've had easy lives. They're those who've had lives, ... Difficult and chose not to become small because of it. So, Amor Fati is like that. It's the art of saying yes to life. Not just to the beautiful moments, but to the whole package. To the chaos, the injustice, the pain, the beauty, all together. And that, my friend, requires a courage that most people simply don't have. The question is, do you have it? Now let's get to what's really scary. Because Amor Fati doesn't exist alone in Nietzsche's philosophy. It's intimately connected to another concept, perhaps the most disturbing one he ever created. The eternal return. And this is where things get serious. Imagine the scene. You are alone at night. Suddenly, a demon appears and whispers in your ear. This life, exactly as you have lived it and are living it now, every pain, every pleasure, every thought, every sigh, every moment of boredom and ecstasy, will have to live it all again. And again. And again. Infinitely. Eternally. Without change. Without escape. Every mistake repeated. Every humiliation relived. Every regret eternalized. Nietzsche called this the heaviest thought. And he was right. Because this idea is not an abstract philosophical exercise. It is existential test a lie detector about yourself. If someone told you that you would have to relive your life exactly as it is infinitely, what would your reaction be? Would you fall to your knees in despair? Would you scream no, anything but that? Or would you smile and say again, always? Be honest. Because your answer reveals all about how you really live. Most people would fail this test miserably because most people are living lives they don't want to live, doing things they don't want to do, being someone they don't want to be, all on autopilot, on existential autopilot. Joby Yuhei. It's temporary, dead relationship. I'll fix it someday. Dreams shelved when I have time. Authenticity buried. When conditions are better, lies, all of them. An eternal return exposes these lies with surgical cruelty. Because if you had to live that life again, that soul-draining job, that diminishing relationship, that mediocre version of yourself at an alley would, you still make the same choices? Of course. So why on earth are you making these choices? Now, this is the devastating point of connection between Amor Fati and eternal return. Eternal return is not a cosmological doctrine about time being... It is ethical imperative a tool to force you to live in a way that you wouldn't be ashamed to repeat endlessly. It's Nietzsche saying, live in such a way that if you had to relive every second of this life forever, you would say, yes, bring it back. Amor Fati is the answer to that challenge. It's about having the courage to build a life so authentic, so aligned with who you truly are, that even moments of pain and failure become part of a work you would proudly sign. But let's be clear, this is not easy. Actually, it's terrifying, because it means taking responsibility, total responsibility for its very existence. No excuses. No blaming parents, society, the system, or fate. It means looking in the mirror and saying, this is my choice. And if it isn't, it needs to be. Think about how many decisions you make out of fear. Fear of what others will think, fear of failure, fear of disappointing, fear of being who you truly are. Now imagine having to relive each of those cowardly decisions. Eternally, it makes you nauseous, doesn't it? Great. This nausea is just the beginning. Because only when you feel utter revulsion for the life you're living do you find the courage to change it. Only when the idea of repeating your life terrifies you do you wake up to the fact that you're wasting the only resource that truly matters. Time. Nietzsche is not being cruel. He is he's waking you from your existential sleepwalking before it's too late. And here's the truth no one wants to hear. Most people would rather live a life they hate than have the courage to create a life they love. Because creating a life you love requires risk. It requires vulnerability. It requires accepting that you can fail spectacularly. But what is the alternative? Tu la vie sa fi small, control life and die with the regret of never having truly lived. If you had to repeat if it will life be worth it forever. If the answer is no, then you already know what you need to do. And the clock is ticking. Then you felt nauseous. You stared into the abyss. You realized you were living a life you couldn't bear to repeat forever. And now comes the most important part, the transmutation. Because Amor Fati isn't just a pretty concept to tattoo on your arm and pretend you're deep. It's a tool for existential transformation. What transforms you from a victim of circumstances into the creator of your own existence. And that changes everything. Let's be clear. Life is unfair. Brutally unfair. You didn't choose where you were born. You didn't choose your family. You didn't choose your body, your genetic predispositions, your childhood traumas. You didn't choose most of the things that shaped you in the first years of your life. And you know what? That doesn't matter anymore. Because even though you didn't choose the cards you were dealt, you choose how to play them. That's the essence of Amor Fati. You take all the raw material of your life, including the rotten parts, and decide what to do with it. Nietzsche knew this better than anyone. The man spent most of his life ill, devastating headaches, vision problems, constancy, nausea, profound loneliness, total incomprehension, his books ignored, his relationships destroyed, a life that was objectively miserable by any conventional standard. He could have drowned in he could have said, "The world is unfair to me. I'm a victim of circumstances." Instead, he transformed all that suffering into philosophical fuel. He wrote, "What doesn't kill me makes me stronger." But be warned, he wasn't saying that all suffering automatically makes you stronger. That would be naive. Too much suffering simply breaks people. What Nietzsche was saying is that you can't choose his suffering to strengthen yourself. You can take pain and mold it into wisdom. Take failure and transform it into experience. Take humiliation and convert it into true humility. This is not masochism. It's existential alchemy. Let's be practical, because you're not here for abstract theory. Let's say you grew up in a dysfunctional family, childhood trauma, emotional neglect, abuse, whatever. The scenario, you have two choices. Choose A, spending the rest of your life using that as an excuse. I am like this because of my childhood. I can't because of my parents, ... I can't change because I was conditioned, ... Single quotes, basically, living as a prisoner of the past. Choose B. Acknowledge that it happened, that it was horrible, that it shouldn't have happened in, then decide that you're not going to let it define who you are. You're going to use that experience to develop empathy, strength, depth. You're going to transform the wound into a source of power. Amor Fati means choosing option B, that is to say, yes, that happened to me, and it was terrible. But now it's ... single, quotes me, and I'll decide what to do with it. Here's a secret no one tells you. You don't have to like what happened to choose to love it. It seems paradoxical, but it's not. Amor Fati isn't about liking pain. It's about ... Integrate pain becomes part of the larger narrative of your life in a way that empowers you, not paralyzes you. It's the difference between saying, why did this happen to me, victim, and what do I do with this now? Creative. It's the difference between becoming bitter and maturing. And no, this isn't quick. It's not easy. It's not a switch you flip. It's an ongoing process of reinterpreting your own history. But when you start doing this, when you truly begin practicing, Amor Fati, something extraordinary happens. You realize that nothing was in vain. Every mistake taught you something. Every failure showed you a path that doesn't work. Every betrayal revealed something about trust and discernment. Every loss taught you about impermanence and gratitude. Everything, absolutely everything, can be raw material for the person you are becoming. Nietzsche wasn't selling illusions. He was offering ... freedom. Freedom to stop being a hostage of the past. Freedom to stop waiting for the world to be fair. Freedom to stop blaming circumstances and start creating reality. Because in the end, the only thing that truly matters is this. Will you die a victim or a creator? You'll die complaining about what life did to you, or celebrating what it did. What did he do with his life? Amor Fati's choosing to be the sculptor, not the stone. It's about picking up the hammer and starting to chisel your own masterpiece, even if the raw material is pain, chaos, and imperfection. And, what's the most beautiful thing about all this? When you finally get to look back and say, I wouldn't change a thing. Because all of this, every scar, every detour, every fall brought me here. And this is exactly where I need to be. This is Amor Fati, that is freedom. So we've reached the end, or rather, the beginning. Because everything we've discussed so far is absolutely worthless if it remains just a pretty concept in your head. Amor Fati isn't armchair philosophy. It's practice. It's decision. It's courage in action. And now you need to answer, what are you going to do with it? Let's quickly recap. Without further ado, Amor Fati is loving your life completely, not despite the suffering, but including it. It's transforming pain into power. It's ceasing to be a victim and starting to be a creator. It's living in such a way that if you had to repeat every second of this existence eternally, you would say yes without hesitation. Easy to understand, incredibly difficult to live through. And do you know why? Because it demands something that most people have spent their entire lives avoiding: full responsibility. You can't blame anyone. You can't outsource your happiness. You can't wait for circumstances to improve. You can't live in one day. Amor Fati is you. Now, with the cards you're dealt, deciding to play the best game possible. So tell me one thing, and this is the question that really matters. Are you living a life worthy of being repeated forever? Don't give me that diplomatic answer. I'm not asking you to judge whether your life is good or bad by societal standards. I'm asking if ... Yo de hipidong, I would truly love to relive all of that again. The relationships you maintain for convenience. The job that drains your soul but pays the bills. The dreams you shelved because they're not realistic. The edited version of yourself that you present to the world because the real one is too complicated. If you had to relive every second of it eternally, every little lie you tell yourself, every time you betray yourself for safety, every moment you choose comfort over truth, could you do it? If the answer is no, then you already know what you need to do. And there's no point in waiting. There's no point in saying when things get better. There's no point in saying after I save up money, or when the children grow up, or when the timing is perfect. Timing is never perfect. The time is ... Now, Nietzsche isn't asking you to be happy. He's asking you to be ... true, because happiness is circumstantial. It comes and goes. But an authentic, lifeful life you consciously built with your own hands, taking full responsibility, that's one you can love. Even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop searching for happiness and start searching for authenticity, life becomes infinitely more interesting, deeper, more yar. You may not be happy every day, but you will be alive. Truly alive. And this is infinitely better than that anesthetized existence that most people call life. Look, I know this is scary. Taking complete control of your existence is terrifying. It's easier to blame the world, circumstances, other pale plea. But you know what's even more terrifying? To reach the end of your life and realize you never truly lived, that you spent decades on autopilot, that you died without ever having been who you really were. This is true terror. So you make a choice. Live a small, safe, controlled life that you would be ashamed to repeat, or risk everything to build something worth reliving endlessly. The answer should be obvious, but it will require something from you that few people have: courage. Nietzsche is not here to console you. He is here to wake you up. And now that you're awake, you have no more excuses. You can pretend you didn't read this. You can go back to the comfort of illusion. You can continue living as if you have infinite time. Or you can do what he challenged you to do. Love your life completely, without reservations. And if you can't love her now, then change her until you can. Because you don't have the right to waste the only thing you truly possess, your existence. So I ask you one last time, do you have the courage to love your life? Or will you die without ever having truly lived? The choice was always yours. Empty whiskey. Fill your glass. The next abyss awaits you. Subscribe to the channel.